Some cultivators, feeling discomfort with the sarcastic words of these disciples from great sects and powerful nations, immediately retorted with their own sarcasm. This matter was merely a small interlude for those waiting everywhere. The truly significant figures paying attention to this battle still maintained their composure. This is a death trap. A wise man, secretly observing, looked at the Tiger Roar sect from afar and finally said, regardless of whether Li Qiye comes or not, the outcome will not change. If he comes, he is certain to die, and the Qi family grandfather and grandson are also certain to die. If he doesn't come, the Qi family grandfather and grandson will still die. Hearing these words, the wise man's junior couldn't help but say, Li Qiye is a major tyrant. He cultivates an immortal physique and wields 2 pieces of immortal emperor artifacts. The Tiger Roar sect fundamentally possesses no treasure that can withstand immortal emperor artifacts. Under 2 immortal emperor artifacts, even the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder probably can't stop him. I feel Li Qiye has a greater chance of winning. The wise man shook his head and said, if it were only the Tiger Roar sect, Li Qiye would indeed have a chance. Although the Tiger Roar sect's 4 ferocious tombs are extremely powerful, Li Qiye holds 2 immortal emperor artifacts. As long as he doesn't get greedy and fights quickly and retreats swiftly, under the protection of the immortal emperor artifacts, he still has a chance to escape. But the situation is different now. Even if Li Qiye holds immortal emperor artifacts, and even if he has powerful reinforcements, if he advances, he is still walking straight into a net. There was no doubt that this wise man knew information that others did not, aware of some startling secrets. The Tiger Roar sect has reinforcements. The wise man's junior was inwardly fearful upon hearing the elder's words. As Li Qiye had made many enemies in the eastern 100 cities, and countless people wanted to eliminate him for good. It's more than just reinforcements. The wise man sighed and said, this is truly a place where one slays gods if they come, and slays devils if they come. No matter who comes, it is a path of death. Hence, this is a death trap. Hearing their elders' words, the juniors were all terrified and couldn't help but ask, what kind of figure did the Tiger Roar sect invite? A very terrifying existence. The wise man looked at the Tiger Roar sect and finally sighed softly. Time passed, moment by moment. Finally, the sun hung high in the sky. Eventually, the Tiger Roar sect master sneered and said, humph, that Li brat is too afraid to come. Drag him out and execute him. First, execute the young one, then the old one. When the Tiger Roar sect master issued the order to execute Qi Xiaodao, even many cultivators watching couldn't help but gasp. Those who held grudges against Li Qiye were even more elated, laughing coldly, that Li Qiye truly is a coward. That's right. What kind of tyrant? It seems he's just a complete brute, a coward who only bullies the weak and fears the strong. When facing a great sect in the final moment, didn't he still become fearful? He's probably hiding in some turtle shell, peeing his pants. Another disciple of a great sect or powerful nation spoke proudly, as if Li Qiye's failure to appear was a matter of great satisfaction to him. Slap. The cultivator hadn't finished speaking when a fierce slap struck him, knocking his teeth out and instantly leaving him disoriented. Who dares to sneak attack me? The cultivator finally managed to stand firm, shouting furiously. Who do you think it is? At this moment, a lazy voice rang out. 3 people slowly walked over from afar. Li Qiye approached unhurriedly, with Li Xuangan and Chen Baoqiao following at his sides. Li Qiye instantly stood outside the Tiger Roar sect. He looked at the heroes surrounding him and said calmly, since some people are dissatisfied with me, I truly hope those who are dissatisfied would step forward. I have always been very fair. Those who want to settle accounts with me, step forward. Today, we'll settle the score with the Tiger Roar sect all at once. But at this moment, countless people held their breath. No one dared to step forward. The sarcastic cultivator from before was scared pale, hiding in the back. Not only did he dare not step forward, but he didn't even dare to look at Li Qiye, his legs trembling. Who didn't know the tyrannical fame of Li Qiye? Even the dazzling light giant sun and the azure profound heavenly sun were slaughtered like dogs. These ordinary disciples of great sects and powerful nations were nothing compared to figures like the dazzling light giant sun. They were merely talking big before Li Qiye appeared. Li Qiye was too lazy to pay attention to these insignificant figures. He stood outside the Tiger Roar Sect's mountain gate, lazily glancing at the newly rebuilt gate. He couldn't help but sneer, stomping his foot. With a boom, the newly rebuilt mountain gate instantly collapsed. Li Qiye was nonchalant, walking into the Tiger Roar Sect as if taking a leisurely stroll. "You vile creature, you seek death." This instantly enraged countless Tiger Roar Sect disciples. They roared furiously. Hundreds of disciples guarding the four directions charged forward in an instant. For a great sect or powerful nation, the mountain gate is their face. Li Qiye smashing their mountain gate with one foot was equivalent to fiercely stomping on the face of the Tiger Roar Sect. However, facing the charge of hundreds of disciples, Li Qiye didn't even blink. He continued to walk leisurely into the Tiger Roar Sect. Clang! Immediately, swords chimed and blades roared. As Li Xuangan and Chen Baoqiao attacked from Li Qiye's sides, one sword transformed into yin and yang, and a great array suppressed them, with 10,000 swords chiming in unison. The other wielded a blade that swept across the heavens, peerless and invincible. With one slash, it could slay gods above and cut down demon kings below, extremely fierce and domineering. One held the Six Dao sword, Lu Dao Jian, and the other wielded the hegemon immortal blade, Ba Xian Dao. They attacked simultaneously. In an instant, blood stained the sky, like a rain of blood. The screams did not even have time to escape. With the dual strike of blade and sword, hundreds of disciples perished in a short time. This scene terrified countless people. Many knew of Li Qiye's fierceness, but they never expected the two beautiful women, Li Xuangan and Chen Baoqiao, by his side to be equally ferocious, showing a tendency to sweep across the world. Men should be like this. Seeing the maids by Li Qiye's side being so heaven-defying, countless people were both envious and jealous. Li Xuangan and Chen Baoqiao were heavenly daughters of pride, Tianji Jiaonu. Yet they were taken as maids by Li Qiye. What a heaven-defying situation this was. Kill. Retreat. At this moment, the Tiger Roar Sect master shouted, immediately calling back the charging Tiger Roar Sect disciples. He knew that even more ordinary disciples would only be sent to their deaths. Clang. However, before thousands of Tiger Roar Sect disciples could retreat, the sword chimed across the 9 heavens, and the blade swept across the 8 desolaces. The 6 Dao Yin-Yang sword array, Lu Dao Yin-Yang Jianzhen, flew out from Li Xuanyan's hand. The massive sword array instantly suppressed them. 10,000 sword peaks, like a meat grinder, instantly turned the area within the sword array into a storm of blood, with flesh and blood scattering everywhere. The hegemon immortal blade swept across the heavens. With a gentle sweep, mountains were cut down like grass. The blade swept across with an invincible stance. As the blade swept past, blood gushed like springs. Countless sprays of fresh blood flew high, transforming into waves of blood. The massacre swept through. At this moment, Li Xuangan and Chen Baoqiao cleared the path for Li Qiye. With an immensely powerful and invincible stance, they instantly charged into the Tiger Roar Sect's ancestral territory. Blood flowed like rivers, and bones piled up like mountains. Such a domineering slaughter made countless spectators gasp in cold air. Such powerful actions would likely mean death even for an ancient saint who intervened. Too domineering. Seeing this scene, everyone felt a chill in their hearts, shuddering in fear. The Tiger Roar Sect master's face was extremely ugly. He couldn't even intervene in time. In an instant, he was so furious that he spat blood. For him, the thousands of Tiger Roar Sect disciples were the pillars of the Tiger Roar Sect, and they were almost completely slaughtered in an instant. The Tiger Roar Sect master was enraged and wanted to activate the Great Array. But behind him, the voice of the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder rang out, saying solemnly, "Let them in." In an instant, no one dared to stop the 3 of them. The trio charged swiftly, stepping into the crucial area of the Tiger Roar sect in a flash. The moment Li Qiye stepped into the ambush zone of the Tiger Roar sect, everyone inside the Tiger Roar sect sighed in relief. He had entered the trap. As long as Li Qiye dared to enter, he would never leave. At this moment, countless people outside the Tiger Roar sect also held their breath, intently watching the scene before them. Heaven has a path, yet you refuse to walk it. Hell has no gate, yet you insist on breaking in. You vile creature, today will be your death. The Tiger Roar sect master hated Li Qiye to the bone, speaking through gritted teeth. Li Qiye glanced at him, speaking calmly and lazily. Be it heaven or hell, when I want to come, I will come. When I want to leave, I will leave. Who can stop me? What arrogance! Another cold voice rang out. The Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder slowly stood up. The 49 divine rings on his body slowly opened, like 49 great Dao suppressing this domain, making people feel suffocated. The Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder's cold eyes were like lightning, capable of piercing through everything before him. He looked coldly at the three of them and said sternly, Since you've come, don't dream of leaving. You're mistaken. I truly didn't think about leaving. Li Qiye smiled calmly and said, I am going to flatten this entire domain before I leave. You utter arrogant words when death is upon you. The Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder's eyes became terrifying. He said coldly, if you surrender now, you can still die a quick death. As long as you hand over the Immortal Emperor artifacts and the Supreme Arts, including the Immortal Physique Art, this venerable can let you die a quick death. Otherwise, we will let you taste the torment of a life worse than death. Li Qiye slowly glanced at the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder, shook his head, and smiled. Bring out whatever methods you have. However, before I make my move, I will give the Tiger Roar sect a kind and benevolent piece of advice. Evacuate your elderly, young, and weak. That way, you can leave a few seeds behind. Otherwise, when this domain collapses, they will cry to heaven, but heaven will not answer, and call upon the earth, but earth will not respond. Ha ha, ha ha. The Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder laughed maniacally. Even many of the Tiger Roar sect elders and protectors present couldn't help but burst into laughter. It seemed like the biggest joke they had ever heard. The Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder's cold eyes shot out like lightning. He sneered. You ignorant fool, today we will let you know what it means to live a life worse than death. Execute the Qi family brat. Immediately, the Tiger Roar sect's powerful experts pushed Qi Xiaodao out. At this moment, the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder blocked Li Qiye's path. The Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder laughed coldly and said, Just as you said, today we will make you cry to heaven but heaven will not answer. And call upon the earth but earth will not respond. First, we execute the Qi family brat, and then we will slowly execute the people by your side. Many cultivators watching outside the Tiger Roar sect were moved by this. Executing Qi Xiaodao right in front of Li Qiye, the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder intended to strike a blow to Li Qiye's morale, using it to threaten Li Qiye and his companions. Li Qiye was not anxious at all. He smiled naturally and said, Go ahead and make your move. What are you waiting for? Li Qiye's attitude stunned the high-ranking members of the Tiger Roar sect present, including the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder. The Tiger Roar sect intended to execute Qi Xiaodao in front of him, yet Li Qiye appeared completely unconcerned. Puff. Just as the high-ranking members of the Tiger Roar sect, including the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder, were stunned, a cold glint suddenly flashed. In an instant, the few experts escorting Qi Xiaodao didn't even have time to react. Their heads instantly rolled to the ground, and fresh blood gushed out. The one who struck was the executioner who was supposed to execute Qi Xiaodao. The executioner raised his blade and struck, and heads rolled. With unimaginable speed, he rescued Qi Xiaodao in an extremely short time. In an instant, Qi Xiaodao was brought by this executioner to Li Qiye's side. This change happened too fast, so fast that people couldn't react. Even the elders and protectors of the Tiger Roar sect, up to the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder, were stunned. The Tiger Roar sect's executioner was one of their disciples. When did he suddenly betray their Tiger Roar sect, and at this crucial moment, rescue Qi Xiaodao? Even many cultivators watching the battle outside the Tiger Roar sect were stunned by this sudden change. No one dared to believe that, inside the Tiger Roar sect, at this most critical moment, the Tiger Roar sect's executioner suddenly betrayed the Tiger Roar sect and saved Qi Xiaodao. Such a thing was truly unbelievable. Who are you, daring to betray the sect? However, the executioner who saved Qi Xiaodao quickly transformed, instantly changing into another person, grinning widely, who said, "This elder is a disciple of your Tiger Roar sect. Who else could this person be but Xikong Toutian?" He had long received Li Qiye's order to infiltrate the Tiger Roar sect. It was precisely because Xikong Toutian had infiltrated the Tiger Roar sect that Li Qiye was able to plan ahead. "Brat. Now you owe me a life." Xikong Toutian grinned and said to Qi Xiaodao. "Very well, the three of you leave first." After rescuing Qi Xiaodao, Li Qiye instructed them, saying, "You want to leave?" The Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder was so enraged that he went mad. Such a grand show was ruined just like that. He said coldly, "You have entered a net of heaven and earth, Tian Luo Di Wang. Even if you had wings, you couldn't fly. Just accept death." After speaking, he stepped forward. The 49 divine rings opened, crushing people to the point of suffocation. "Do you alone think you can stop me?" Li Qiye laughed loudly, glancing at the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder, and slowly said, "If this is all the method your Tiger Roar sect has, then I am truly disappointed. Collecting a young brat like you is no difficult matter." At this moment, another cold voice rang out. Boom. A sound echoed. An old man stepped out. In an instant, he blocked the retreat path of Li Qiye and the others. When this old man stepped out, the heavens and earth shook. This old man's body was not overly robust, but he gave people an extremely domineering feeling, as if the power of his entire body could erupt at any moment. The old national master of the wrathful immortal holy kingdom, Xianxia. When this old man was seen, an old sect master of the previous generation outside the Tiger Roar sect called out in alarm. Didn't he retire and enter seclusion? He has emerged again. The old national master of the wrathful immortal holy kingdom. Legend says he is an unpredictable saint sovereign, possessing the great completion Hegemon holy physique, Bashingti. Many people in the eastern 100 cities had heard of such a legendary figure, who was famous during the difficult Tao era. Legend says when he entered seclusion, he had already stepped into the holy monarch, Shenghuang, realm. When he achieved great completion of the Hegemon holy physique, the Lion's Roar holy emperor of the Lion's Roar kingdom was just beginning to make a name for himself. Someone said with emotion. The old national master of the wrathful immortal holy kingdom, some say he is unfathomable. What is even more feared is that his Hegemon holy physique has achieved great completion. This is one of the 12 immortal physiques. Once it reaches great completion, its power is incredibly strong, feared by everyone. Li Qiye glanced at the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder, then at the old national master of the wrathful immortal holy kingdom. He smiled naturally and said, "These are merely small figures. They are not worth me making a move." Li Qiye's arrogant words instantly made many people look at each other in dismay. These words were too crazy. This was a saint sovereign, and he had achieved great completion of a holy physique. But thinking of Li Qiye's journey of slaying gods and demons, many people couldn't help but feel that Li Qiye had the capital to be this arrogant. First, deal with the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder. Li Qiye retracted his gaze and instructed Li Xuangan and Chen Baoqiao. Li Xuangan and Chen Baoqiao didn't say a word. They instantly stood up, one with the 6 Dao sword in hand, the other with the Hegemon immortal blade in hand. Immediately, their auras surged like a rainbow. Ignorant fools, a mayfly trying to shake a giant tree. Being so slighted by Li Qiye instantly made the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder tremble with rage. His face darkened. The 49 divine rings opened in an instant, crushing toward Chen Baoqiao and Li Xuangan with the might of a saint sovereign. In an instant, Li Xuangan was like a holy lotus bursting forth. Bathed in immortal light, sacred and peerless. In an extremely short time, Li Xuangan instantly passed through the crushing divine rings of the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder. Holy light illuminated everywhere. As Li Xuangan stepped forward, myriad laws could not touch her, and the Daos of the heavens and earth retreated. This was Li Xuangan's flawless physique, Wugoti. In an extremely short time, Li Xuangan surpassed the divine rings of the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder with unbelievable speed. The 6 Dao swords black and white divine light pierced through everything, stabbing straight toward the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder's glabella. The Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder was startled. He flipped his hand, forming a seal, suppressing all myriad laws. Streaks of Grand Dao laws roared, descending like giant dragons under his seal. Puff! A sound echoed. A sword pierced directly through the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder's hand seal. In an instant, blood dripped. The 6 Dao sword mercilessly stabbed through the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder's palm. However, despite the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder's suppression of myriad laws and his hand seal that resembled the heavens, he still couldn't touch Li Xuangan at all. Within the endless laws and under the power of the Grand Dao, Li Xuangan was like a fish in water. Untouched by myriad laws, moving freely. Impossible. Seeing this scene, countless people cried out in shock and horror. This was simply impossible. Being untouched by myriad laws, how could this be? The Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder suffered a great loss immediately after making his move. His expression drastically changed. He stared at Li Xuangan in disbelief, blurting out, "The flawless physique. A lesser completion immortal physique. In this world, if anything could be untouched by myriad laws, it could only be the flawless physique, one of the legendary 12 immortal physiques. This kind of physique is truly the nemesis of many Dao arts. Many laws seem ineffective against this kind of physique. The flawless physique." Hearing the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder's words, countless people were moved. Li Qiye, cultivating the prison guard divine physique, one of the 12 immortal physiques, had already terrified people. Now, the maid by his side was also cultivating another type of physique, the flawless physique, also one of the 12 immortal physiques. Good. Even with your Dao cultivation base, the flawless physique is still insufficient. The Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder sneered. A roar echoed. At this moment, a divine sword appeared above his head. The divine sword pulsed with divinity, its sword light capturing souls, making people shudder with fear. This is an immortal sage true artifact. The true artifact left behind by an immortal sage who ascended and established his divine position. Seeing the divine sword with its heaven-shattering divinity above the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder's head, someone couldn't help but exclaim with emotion. Clang! 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 In an instant, sword lights even larger than heavenly pillars burst forth from Li Xuanyan's absolute domain, instantly locking down the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder with a peerless sword array. 6 palaces. She is only at the true person realm, yet she already possesses 6 palaces. This is the supreme 6-palace marquee that was once unrivaled. Seeing the 6 palaces forming a domain, those who witnessed this scene were filled with either envy or admiration. Li Xuangan possessing the flawless physique was already enough to make people jealous. Now, she also opened 6 fate palaces. This was enough to drive people mad with envy. How were other geniuses supposed to live? Even an absolute domain sword array cannot trap this venerable. The Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder shouted loudly. His 49 divine rings formed a miniature heaven and earth, attempting to tear apart Li Xuanyan's sword array. At the same time, his divine sword slashed out. With one strike, stars fell, and the Grand Dao was cleaved. Don't even think about leaving. Chen Baoqiao immediately shouted. Her ancient saint might instantly erupted, extremely powerful. The most powerful aspect was the hegemon immortal blade in her hand. With one slash, she punished the heavens. When the 8 Hegemon heaven slashes were executed with the Hegemon Immortal blade, the blade's might was truly terrifying. Clang! The blade shattered the myriad worlds, one slash traversing the heavens. She was like a true god holding a blade, sweeping across the myriad worlds, slaying gods upon meeting them and slaughtering devils upon encountering them. Endless corpses of gods and devils appeared within the blade's radiance. With one slash, it seemed to have eliminated the gods and devils of the myriad worlds. This domineering and invincible momentum made people shudder. The Hegemon Immortal blade and the 8 Hegemon heaven slashes were passed down from the distant mythical era. When the two combined, the terrifying power made people tremble. Bang! The slash that swept across the heavens actually clashed against the immortal sage divine sword of the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder. Although Chen Baoqiao was only at the ancient saint realm, she still staggered back several steps. Go back. But at this moment, Chen Baoqiao's stubborn and fierce temper erupted. She shouted loudly, and her entire body became dazzling. In an instant, Chen Baoqiao crazily absorbed heaven and earth essence qi and the laws of the myriad Daos. An extremely terrifying grand Dao storm formed around her. The laws of the myriad Daos and the grand Dao storm instantly fused onto Chen Baoqiao's blade. Clang! One of the 8 Hegemon heaven slashes, fueled by Chen Baoqiao's anger, actually struck the sky. One slash cut down, forcefully pushing back the immortal sage divine sword of the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder. Even the divine rings around the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder were subjected to the powerful crushing force of the storm. At this moment, an immensely terrifying Grand Dao storm erupted from Chen Baoqiao's entire body. The storm's power, released from within her, could crush the 8 directions. When her Grand Dao storm power condensed onto the 8 Hegemon heaven slashes, it instantly amplified her blade's might by several tens of times. What kind of physique is this? The eruption of such a Grand Dao storm from Chen Baoqiao's body made onlookers gasp in amazement. The heaven-ending holy spring physique, Fach 10 Tan. Twenna, this not only drastically increased Chen Baoqiao's Dao cultivation base, but it also allowed Chen Baoqiao to crazily devour heaven and earth essence qi, forming a terrifying Grand Dao storm. Although Chen Baoqiao did not open 6 fate palaces like Li Xuangan, her heaven-ending holy spring physique allowed her Dao cultivation base to catch up to Li Xuanyan's in just a few short years, actually achieving the ancient saint realm. Currently, Li Xuangan was still a 7-star true person, just one step away from entering the ancient saint realm. Yet, Chen Baoqiao, who had destroyed her Dao cultivation base and recultivated, caught up to Li Xuangan. This was the terrifying aspect of the heaven-ending holy spring physique. The heaven-ending holy spring physique might not be as powerful as the flawless physique, but it was definitely not inferior to an immortal physique. This was a peerlessly invincible physique. Kill! Li Xuangan shouted. With one hand, she pulled out a formation diagram. The formation diagram opened. Instantly, dragons roared and tigers howled. It seemed as if 10,000 primordial ferocious beasts charged forth. This was the 6-beast array diagram, an item of extraordinary origin. When the 6 beasts charged out, they crushed the enemy with an irresistible momentum. At the same time, Li Xuanyan's true fate leaped out from her primary fate palace, suppressing the enemy with a supreme stance. Chen Baoqiao also shouted. She was like a goddess of the storm, sweeping her long blade across the battlefield, carrying an immensely domineering Grand Dao storm. Even the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder, who was a precious saint sovereign, couldn't help but change his expression. In an instant, he gripped the divine sword with one hand and a precious shield with the other. His precious shield was also an immortal sage true artifact. Bang! A loud explosion. The Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder used his precious shield to directly strike Li Xuangan and swung his divine sword backward to cleave at Chen Baoqiao. The Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder understood that facing the flawless physique like Li Xuanyan's, his Tiger Roar sects cultivation methods fundamentally couldn't suppress her, even with his precious saint sovereign strength, unless he had a heavenly mandate secret art to suppress her. Therefore, he used his precious shield to meet the enemy, engaging in combat with his strongest force. This is too unreasonable. When Li Qiye and Chen Baoqiao made their move, let alone the Tiger Roar sect powerful experts present, even the countless cultivators watching outside the Tiger Roar sect drastically changed their expressions. One person. A 7-star true person who was once a Supreme Six Palace Marquis and now possessed a lesser completion immortal physique. Even with the strength of a 7-star true person, she could challenge a saint sovereign beyond her level. The other was an ancient saint, whose physique was of an unknown type, but one look showed that this physique was stronger than a holy physique. Moreover, she wielded a divine blade, sweeping across the 8 desolaces. Although the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder was a precious saint sovereign, under normal circumstances, he could absolutely crush a true person or an ancient saint. However, today, facing the joint attack of Li Qiye and Chen Baoqiao, he wasn't sure he could suppress the two women. It's enough that Li Qiye cultivates an immortal physique. Now, his two maids, one cultivates an immortal physique, and the other cultivates an incredibly powerful, unknown physique. Is there any reason left in this world? Is this an attempt to crush the world with physiques? Someone outside the Tiger Roar sect muttered. At this moment, countless people's eyes revealed covetous glances. Li Qiye cultivated an immortal physique, Li Qiye also cultivated an immortal physique, and Chen Baoqiao cultivated an invincible, unknown physique. This meant Li Qiye possessed at least 2 sets of immortal physique arts. Immortal physique arts. Even an imperial lineage immortal gate would covet them. Who wouldn't be tempted? Young brat, be sensible and surrender. This national master can grant you a quick death. At this moment, the old national master stepped out. His aura was fierce and oppressive toward Li Qiye. His Dao cultivation base was already very powerful, arguably stronger than the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder. What was even more terrifying was that his hegemon holy physique had reached great completion. A great completion holy physique gave him the qualification to challenge a holy emperor, Sheng Huang, even as a saint sovereign. Just you. Li Qiye didn't even blink, smiling naturally. Clatter. Clatter. Li Qiye and the old national master hadn't even begun to fight. But suddenly, incredibly frantic lightning and thunder descended from the sky. In an instant, it transformed into a tribulation sea, followed by heaven-shattering devilish energy. Boom. A loud explosion. Mountains collapsed and the earth split. Everyone heard a clang sound. The ancient treasure suppressing the lion's roar holy emperor was actually shattered, broken into pieces. The massive fragments of the ancient treasure scattered like small mountains. Open. Following a sound like a lion's roar, a golden lion swallowed the heavens and devoured the earth. It transformed into a colossal Dharma body, fiercely breaking through the descending lightning tribulation sea. Impossible. The sudden anomaly made the Tiger Roar sect master's expression drastically change. This ancient treasure was an artifact passed down by the Tiger Roar ancestor, extremely powerful. Yet, it was shattered by someone today. Ha ha, ha ha, ha ha. This holy emperor has finally broken through the final tribulation. A domineering voice rang out. An elderly man resembling a lion appeared before everyone. The lion's roar holy emperor. He actually succeeded. Seeing this old man, who resembled a lion, burst out from the suppressing ancient treasure, many people were moved and muttered, "Is this a lesser completion immortal physique? It seems the legend." Boom. 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 The sound roared across the heavens and earth. In a short period, the Tiger Roar sect faced collapsing heavens and splitting earth. Immeasurably powerful force tore apart the earth and destroyed the mountain peaks. In this instant, with Li Qiye as the center, the formidable force, with an overwhelming momentum, struck down mountain peak after mountain peak. Seeing mountain peak after mountain peak crumble and ancient hall after ancient hall shatter made the powerful experts of the Tiger Roar sect turn pale with fright. This was truly the end of the world arriving. Even the countless cultivators watching outside the Tiger Roar sect felt utterly powerless. Under the absolute dominance of the immortal physique, it truly made people feel a sense of helplessness. This is not letting anyone live. Lesser completion immortal physiques appeared one after another. Now Li Qiye and Li Xuangan both possess lesser completion immortal physiques. If they one day ascend to the great sage realm and their immortal physiques reach great completion, even an immortal emperor would find it difficult to suppress them. A major figure couldn't help but groan in agony. Opened the ancestral foundation. The Tiger Roar sect master's face was deathly pale as he frantically roared. At this moment, their Tiger Roar sect was desperately trying to activate their ancestral foundation at any cost. Following the Tiger Roar sect master's command, streaks of laws, thick as star rivers, shot up from the entire Tiger Roar sect's ancestral territory. Supported by massive star walls, Tingbi, the Tiger Roar sect opened its ancestral foundation. A narrow strip of laws locked down the earth and sealed the sky. This finally managed to halt Li Qiye's destruction of the Tiger Roar sect's ancestral territory with his prison guard divine physique. You vile creature, today my Tiger Roar sect will not rest until we have cut you into 10,000 pieces. The Tiger Roar sect master couldn't help but roar frantically. Seeing his own ancestral territory being destroyed like this, how could he not feel heartbroken? If all you have is this little ancestral foundation, I fear your Tiger Roar sect won't be able to do it. By then, it won't be me cut into 10,000 pieces, but me flattening your Tiger Roar sect. Li Qiye smiled calmly. An ignorant brat who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. My Tiger Roar sect's ancestral foundation has stood for the myriad ages without falling. Humph, do you, a mere mayfly, dream of shaking it? At this moment, a cold voice rang out, sounding like a dead man crawling out from underground. A sedan chair was carried out by 4 ancient saints. An elderly man lay on the sedan chair. He was white-haired and bald, and his entire body was skin and bones. This elder looked as if he had only one breath left. Such an elder could barely walk and took half a day to take a single breath. A dying elder like this should have been lying in a coffin waiting for death. But it was precisely such an elder who gave people a feeling of terror. His skin and bones body lay weakly on the sedan chair, like a giant dragon coiled on it. When his aged eyes opened, a terrifying divine light flickered. It seemed that in the moment his eyes closed, he could destroy everything. No one who saw this elder would ignore him because he was lying on a sedan chair. On the contrary, upon seeing this elder, countless people felt goosebumps. Is this the Tiger Roar sect's ancestor? Seeing this elder and sensing the terrifying aura that made people tremble, someone couldn't help but mutter. I've heard of this elder. Finally, an extremely ancient demon king saw this elder, couldn't help but gasp in cold air, and said in terror, legend says he is the 8th generation great-grandson of the Tiger God, sealed in the deepest part of the Tiger Roar sect. Using time blood stones to resist the erosion of time. Countless people were terrified upon hearing these words. The 8th generation great-grandson of the Tiger God, how long has this person lived? Even though he had been sealed underground all this time, it still made people feel frightened. When this elder came out, everyone in the Tiger Roar sect knelt, shouting, Ancestors divine might. The elder was carried over. He lay weakly in the sedan chair, speaking faintly, Junior, for you to force me to emerge, you should be proud even if you die here today. Be sensible and hand over the immortal physique art. Just an old undying. Li Qiye narrowed his eyes, looking at the Tiger Roar sect's ancestor. He smiled charmingly and said, I fear today will be your last emergence. A mere existence at the old undying level cannot protect the Tiger Roar sect. After speaking, he stomped his foot toward the elder lying on the sedan chair, with immense dominance. Such a domineering action terrified people. This was an ancestor-level existence, an old undying who would cause goosebumps anywhere he was placed. Many great sects sealed and buried 1 or 2 such old undyings. The emergence of such an existence often meant death. This kind of existence would not emerge easily, unless faced with extinction. Whether it was a saint sovereign or a holy emperor, seeing this ancestor-level old undying still made their hearts tremble. Yet, Li Qiye domineeringly stomped his foot over the Tiger Roar sect's ancestor lying on the sedan chair didn't even move slightly. He flicked his finger. With a bang, Li Qiye's entire body flew backward, heavily smashing a mountain. So powerful. Just one finger easily sent Li Qiye, who possessed a lesser completion immortal physique, flying. Countless people felt their scalps tingle. Everyone knew of Li Qiye's ferocity, yet the tiger roar sect's ancestor sent him flying with one finger. Voila! Li Qiye rushed out of the rubble. At this moment, his body was covered in bloodstains, but they were only superficial injuries. To Li Qiye, they were insignificant. Pity, you are far too lacking. An existence who hasn't even entered the great world Tao, this is insufficient to become a Tao. Li Qiye laughed loudly, fundamentally not taking the tiger roar sect's ancestor seriously. This is too arrogant. Many people gasped upon hearing Li Qiye's arrogant words. The tiger roar sect's ancestor lay on the sedan chair, looking down upon all beings. He said weakly, "You ignorant fool who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Even without stepping into the great world Tao, slaughtering a young brat like you is more than enough. Above the holy emperor is the great sage. There was once a saying in the world, if immortal emperors do not emerge, the great sage is invincible. In fact, that saying was very vague. The great sage is divided into many types. Although the world's cultivators classify all existences below the immortal emperor into this one great sage realm, over the past millions of years, the great sages who have not stepped into the great world Tao or the heavenly path Tao are called ordinary great sages. Ordinary great sages are divided into levels from low to high: initial world great sage, Chu Shi Da Xian. Seeking world great sage, Wen Shi Da Xian, peaceful world great sage, Ping Shi Da Xian, universal world great sage, Pu Shi Da Xian, and prosperous world great sage, Sheng Shi Da Xian. It can be said that the prosperous world great sage is the peak of the ordinary great sage, but this is not the ultimate path for a great sage. These two great Taos are easily distinguishable. The heavenly path Tao is about walking one's own supreme heavenly Tao. Those who walk this path have a chance to obtain the heavenly mandate in the future and ascend to the immortal emperor. But the heavenly path Tao is extremely cruel in every era. Everyone in this era must compete for the heavenly mandate with countless others. In every era, countless monstrous and heaven-defying existences ultimately die tragically on this heavenly path Tao. In comparison, those who walk the great world Tao are more likely to die of old age. The great world Tao refers to the Tao of the great world, not competing for the heavenly mandate, but heading toward the peak of the great sage realm. Those who walk the great world Tao can establish nations and accumulate profound backgrounds. Reaching a certain level allows them to open the divine conferred list, Fengshen. Legend says that the sages who reach the peak of the great world Tao can even rival the mysterious and invincible true gods, and even immortal emperors dare not slight them. Later generations divided the great sages who walked these two great Taos. The great sages who walked the heavenly path Tao were called heavenly Tao sages, Tian Dao Xian, and the great sages who walked the great world Tao were called divine conferred sages, Fengshen Xian. There is no doubt that the tiger roar sect's ancestor before them is a great sage. He just hasn't stepped into the heavenly path Tao or the great world Tao yet. He is an ordinary great sage. Although he is only an ordinary great sage. As an old undying who has been sealed and buried for countless years, and as the ancestor of a great sect, he is still enough to make a saint sovereign tremble. Oh really? Li Qiye smiled with ease. And said, then stand up. Let me see how much strength a great sage like you has. As soon as he finished speaking, heaven-shattering immortal emperor might erupted. At this moment, Li Qiye's left hand held the emperor's children's mallet, Disi Chui, and his right hand held the mysterious earth turtle crest, Xuan Tugoe Kuan. Immortal emperor artifacts. When Li Qiye brought out the immortal emperor artifacts with his left and right hands, the surging immortal emperor might that erupted caused the heavens to tremble. At this moment, countless people felt their mouths dry. The emperor's children's mallet of the azure profound ancient kingdom. The mysterious earth turtle crest of the dazzling light ancient kingdom. Seeing these two immortal emperor artifacts, countless people were filled with utmost reverence. Some major figures couldn't help but fiercely swallow their saliva. Under the immortal emperor might, even though their legs felt weak. They still couldn't suppress the covetous greed. They muttered, "This young brat is too bizarre. He can actually unlock the Emperor Seal, Disua, of the Immortal Emperor artifacts of the Azure Profound Ancient Kingdom and the Dazzling Light Ancient Kingdom. This is simply unbelievable." Seeing Li Qiye alone possessing 2 Immortal Emperor artifacts, countless people were driven mad with envy. Aside from an imperial lineage Immortal Gate, who could possess 2 Immortal Emperor artifacts at once? Yet, this young brat possessed 2 by himself. How could this not drive people mad with envy? What made people even more furious was that this young brat could actually unlock the legendary Emperor Seal and seize and use others' Immortal Emperor artifacts. Facing the Immortal Emperor artifacts, even the Tiger Roar sect's ancestor didn't dare to be careless. After all, the Tiger Roar sect was not an imperial lineage Immortal Gate. They had no Immortal Emperor artifacts and no Immortal Emperor cultivation arts. In front of Immortal Emperor artifacts, a great sect like them was at a distinct disadvantage. The Tiger Roar sect's ancestor also solemnly stood up. His eyes opened, and a boundless lightning enveloped the entire Tiger Roar sect. At this moment, the Tiger Roar sect's ancestor was no longer a dying old undying, but awakened divine tiger. When his eyes looked around, even a holy emperor felt his legs turn to jelly. Boom. A loud sound. The invincible great sage might of the Tiger Roar sect's ancestor ravaged the heavens and earth. At this moment, 8 pairs of tiger wings appeared behind him. He resembled an 8-winged divine tiger. Even though his vital blood had dried up, his fierce and invincible aura was enough to make a holy emperor's legs turn to jelly. I know who he is. Someone saw the 8 pairs of tiger wings behind the Tiger Roar sect's ancestor and cried out in terror, "He is the 8-winged divine tiger." A great sage who once swept across the world during the era of Immortal Emperor Yin. At this moment, for many people, who the Tiger Roar sect's ancestor was no longer mattered. Looking at his aura, everyone understood that this was a genuine great sage. This was not the kind of ancestor from a small sect that could be compared. A piece of his natal true artifact, Benming Jinqi, appeared above the Tiger Roar sect's ancestor's head. It was a silver hook. The silver hook seemed to be suspending a star river, coldly illuminating the 9 provinces. This was a star river hook, Xinghe Go, forged from the 7 Dao Heaven's essence of heavenly mandate true stone. Junior, for you to force this venerable to use his natal true artifact, this is already your honor. At this moment, the Tiger Roar sect's ancestor looked down upon the world, surveying all beings. "Ha, you flatter yourself. If you didn't bring out your natal true artifact, would you have been able to stop 2 Immortal Emperor artifacts?" Li Qiye laughed loudly. The Tiger Roar sect's ancestor's face was icy cold. He said chillingly, "You ignorant brat who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth, do you truly think possessing Immortal Emperor artifacts makes you invincible? Many people in the world can suppress artifacts. If you can only unleash 1 or 2 tenths of the Immortal Emperor artifact's power, I fear today, even with 2 Immortal Emperor artifacts, you are still courting death." The Tiger Roar sect's ancestors' words were not wrong. If a saint sovereign or a holy emperor without an Immortal Emperor artifact were to face one, it would be a great disaster. A great sage is different. A great sage is an existence that connects with the heavens and earth and holds the sun and moon. They can still withstand a certain level of attack from an Immortal Emperor artifact. If one cannot unleash the powerful might of an Immortal Emperor artifact, even holding one would result in being slain by a great sage. Then you wait and see. Li Qiye laughed loudly, raising his voice. Boom. 6 fate palaces appeared. Li Qiye's 6 fate palaces did not transform into a territory, they were merely an ordinary arrangement. Even so, as the fate palaces opened, the longevity wheel floated, following a roaring sound like a vast wave. The yin-yang blood sea spewed forth boundless vital blood. Another Supreme 6 Palace Marquis. 2 Supreme 6 Palace Marquises appearing in one day. This is too contrary to common sense. The Supreme 6 Palace Marquis is a symbol of genius. Very few people at the Marquis realm open 6 fate palaces. This is the limit of the Marquis realm. To be able to open 6 fate palaces is absolutely the definition of a genius among geniuses, a monster among monsters. Li Xuangan has 6 fate palaces, and now Li Qiye also has 6 fate palaces. How could this not drive people mad? Damn it. An elder of the previous generation couldn't help but curse, 2 great talents appearing in one day. How are our juniors supposed to live? It was no wonder others were going mad. Li Xuangan having 6 palaces was one thing, but now Li Qiye also had 6 palaces. Compared to them, any other genius would pale in comparison. Any genius would not dare to call themselves a genius. In front of them. This is cutting off everyone's path. How are people supposed to live? Some young geniuses were instantly disheartened, saying unwillingly, it's one thing to have an immortal physique, but to also possess 6 palaces. Are they not leaving any room for little shrimps like us to grow? At this moment, countless people looked at Li Qiye with red eyes. They wished they could skin him and rip out his tendons. A lesser completion immortal physique, a 6-palace genius, and 2 immortal emperor artifacts, even the successor of an ancient kingdom couldn't compare to him. How could this not make people jealous? Let's fight in the sky. Seeing Li Qiye's yin-yang blood sea roar, the tiger roar sect's ancestor's expression changed. He instantly stepped into the void and shouted softly, I will grant you your wish. Li Qiye laughed loudly, soaring toward the sky. In an extremely short time, Li Qiye's moon-catching sun-rotating art, Yue Guoyang Luangong, frantically drove the yin-yang blood sea, instantly raising boundless waves of blood. At this moment, Li Qiye's vital blood covered the sky. Feel the wrath of the immortal emperor artifacts. Li Qiye roared frantically, using his boundless vital blood to drive the 2 immortal emperor artifacts in his hands. As soon as he finished speaking, the 2 immortal emperor artifacts struck the tiger roar sect's ancestor directly. At this moment, there was no talk of cultivation arts or techniques. He simply unleashed the overwhelmingly powerful immortal emperor artifacts. When these 2 immortal emperor artifacts struck, anomalies appeared. The mysterious earth turtle crest shattered the heavens and earth, and the emperor's children's mallet struck down the sun and moon. At this moment, the entire tiger roar sect trembled. Countless people instantly collapsed onto the ground, suppressed to the point of suffocation. Star River Separation Hook. The tiger roar sect's ancestor had no retreat. He shouted loudly, like a divine tiger emerging. His divine hook descended, tearing open star rivers and forming vast, hazy seas of stars, using them to block the impact of the 2 immortal emperor artifacts. Boom. A loud sound. Countless stars fell, and the sky was shattered. The people on the ground felt their vital blood churning. And those with weaker Dao cultivation base spat blood directly. With one strike, the sea of stars was destroyed. The tiger roar sect's ancestor also staggered backward several steps, his expression drastically changing. How is this possible? Even a great sage couldn't withstand it. This instantly changed countless people's expressions. This was too horrifying. This is too heaven-defying. Li Qiye unleashed more than 30% of the immortal emperor artifact's power. His longevity artifact is too powerful. This must be an immortal emperor longevity artifact. A major figure looked at Li Qiye's yin-yang blood sea with its heaven-shattering vital blood. Although he unleashed the immortal emperor artifacts, his vital blood showed no signs of depletion. This made people's hair stand on end. This longevity artifact was too powerful. One must know that unleashing an immortal emperor artifact requires incredibly powerful vital blood to support it, consuming a large amount of vital blood. Not everyone can withstand it. Li Qiye also took a deep breath. His yin-yang blood sea was indeed incredibly powerful, but unleashing the 2 immortal emperor artifacts with such great power, even with the support of the yin-yang blood sea, he felt a little overwhelmed. The 2 immortal emperor artifacts instantly consumed such a massive amount of his vital blood that he felt a sense of suffocation. He struggled to catch his breath. The tiger roar sect's ancestors' eyes were red with envy. A junior like Li Qiye possessed 2 immortal emperor artifacts, and now he also had an Immortal Emperor Longevity artifact. An Immortal Emperor Longevity artifact paired with Immortal Emperor artifacts, this was truly a perfect match. Damn it. One person with 2 Immortal Emperor artifacts and 1 Immortal Emperor Longevity artifact. This is a rich second generation. No, this is an Emperor second generation. Only an Immortal Emperor's biological son would receive such treatment. Someone said indignantly. Good, good, good. The Tiger Roar sect's ancestor was laughing out of extreme anger. He was a terrifying ancestor who had been sealed underground for countless years without emerging. Today, he emerged for a junior, originally thinking it would be effortless, but he did not gain any advantage. He was an unimaginably powerful ancestor, yet he could not slay a junior with his natal true artifact striking. This was an immense humiliation for him. Take this. The Tiger Roar sect's ancestor was driven mad with rage. At this moment, he held an artifact in his hand. The moment this artifact appeared, divine might swept across, causing the sun and moon to lose color and the stars to lose light. The natal true artifact of the Tiger God. Someone seeing the artifact in the Tiger Roar sect's ancestor's hand cried out in shock and was deeply moved. Sacred laws coiled around this artifact, swallowing boundless divine light. It seemed that a true God was being nurtured within this true artifact. The divine might that emanated was like a supreme, silent, yet imposing existence, making people's hearts tremble, as if they felt a true God pressing down upon everyone's heads. The progenitor of the Tiger Roar sect, legend says, was a great sage who opened the divine conferred list. This was a supreme existence, an immortal progenitor that a simple great sage could never compare to. Young brat, accept death. The Tiger Roar sect's ancestor was enraged and shouted wildly. He immediately dripped his longevity blood onto the Tiger God true artifact. Instantly, a blood-red light surged into the sky. The sound of a tiger's roar shattered the grand Tao, causing all gods to tremble ceaselessly. Is that so? Slay. The Tiger Roar sect's ancestor roared angrily. The Tiger God true artifact was unleashed, and a white tiger leaped into the void. This was a genuine divine tiger. When it stepped out, space-time shattered. With one leap, there was no spatial or temporal distance. One claw struck down, evaporating seas and destroying mountains and rivers. Its invincible divine might made countless existences tremble. 1,000 hands against the 9 worlds. Li Qiye advanced instead of retreating, shouting loudly. The 9 worlds gradually rose. The 1,000 hands lifted 3,000 worlds. Originally, the 2 Immortal Emperor artifacts were already powerful enough under the propulsion of surging vital blood. But now, the 2 Immortal Emperor artifacts erupted with even more formidable Immortal Emperor might. The Emperor's children's mallet was filled with heaven-shattering Emperor Qi. Within the surging purple energy, boundless territory emerged, as if a great emperor was establishing his Tao here, evolving the mysteries of heaven and earth. As for the mysterious earth turtle crest, a colossal black tortoise stepped out. This black tortoise trampled the great earth and bore the azure heaven on its back, evolving the myriad laws of the grand Tao, an eternal totem. This time, the 2 Immortal Emperor artifacts did not rush out to slay the enemy. The 2 Immortal Emperor artifacts instantly sealed the gate, as if 2 Immortal Emperors were guarding the mountain gate for Li Qiye. Boom. A loud sound echoed. The white tiger, with its invincible divine might, crashed onto the gate sealed by the 2 Immortal Emperor artifacts. A sound of shattering occurred, and the boundless void was like shattered glass flying everywhere. Thump. 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 Li Qiye staggered back several steps. A great sage unleashed the natal artifact of a being who opened the divine conferred list. This power was imaginable, but it still failed to slay Li Qiye. How can this be? The Tiger God's true artifact couldn't kill him. Seeing this scene, countless people were terrified. A major figure sighed softly, saying, "This young brat is too heaven-defying. He can unleash at least 50 or 60% of the Immortal Emperor artifact's power. Even the successor of an ancient kingdom doesn't have this advantage." Even if you have 2 Immortal Emperor artifacts in your hands, you can hardly escape death. Immortal Emperor artifacts are not omnipotent. The Tiger Roar. Sect's ancestor gained the upper hand with the Tiger God True artifact and said coldly. Li Qiye smiled and said, if you were still young, or your vital blood was still strong, I would indeed acknowledge your words. A great sage is indeed formidable. Even an ordinary great sage can shake the Immortal Emperor artifacts in the hand of a junior. But you cannot. You are old. Your longevity is dried up, and your vital blood is exhausted. Yes, merely relying on the Tiger God True artifact is enough to gain the advantage, but I have 2 Immortal Emperor artifacts. If I risk my life, I can withstand 3, 5, or 10 of your moves, but how long can your vital blood support the Tiger God True artifact? Li Qiye's words made even many spectators in the distance feel moved. Although urging an Immortal Emperor artifact consumes an extreme amount of vital blood, Li Qiye had the advantage of youth and strong vital blood. Furthermore, his longevity artifact was of the Immortal Emperor level. This was enough for him to withstand the attack for a short time. It will last long enough to slay you. The Tiger Roar Sect's ancestor's eyes flashed fiercely. In fact, Li Qiye's words struck a nerve in his heart. His longevity was truly dried up, and even if he slew Li Qiye with the Tiger God True artifact, his vital blood would be exhausted. This meant he could no longer seal himself again. He would inevitably die of old age. Even if he killed Li Qiye, he would still face the fate of dying of old age. Ah! Just then, a scream rang out. Blood rained down the sky. Following a wild laugh from the lion's roar Holy Emperor, he actually tore the old national master of the wrathful immortal Holy Kingdom into 2 halves alive. It should end. In this instant, Li Xuangan also shouted. The starry sky compass, Xingkong Tianpan, was in her hand. When her starry sky compass flipped, the starry sky was destroyed. The powerful force directly crushed the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder. The Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder screamed miserably, his entire body sent flying. Before he could even fight back in this extremely short time, Chen Baoqiao, like the goddess of the storm, had already slashed down with her blade. The hegemon immortal blade, the 8 hegemon heaven slashes, the blade sea surged. No. The Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder brought out many treasures to try and stop that blade, but he fundamentally couldn't block the hegemon immortal blade. With a miserable scream, the Tiger Roar Grand Supreme Elder was slain by 1 slash. In an instant, 2 major powerful experts from the Tiger Roar Sect's camp were slain. The Tiger Roar Sect's ancestor's expression drastically changed. He wanted to save them, but he couldn't. Li Qiye, wielding 2 Immortal Emperor artifacts, was staring at him. Seeing this scene, not only did many disciples and powerful experts of the Tiger Roar Sect turn pale, but even many spectators outside the Tiger Roar Sect drastically changed their expressions. Li Qiye's side was too powerful. If your Tiger Roar Sect only has these few methods, then it is impossible to stop me today. Li Qiye looked at the Tiger Roar Sect's ancestor, whose expression was already extremely cold. The Tiger Roar Sect's ancestor was so angry that he spat blood. He laughed furiously and said chillingly, Good, good, young brat. Do you truly think you are the only one who has Immortal Emperor artifacts? I invoke the Ancient Kingdom Emperor artifacts. Boom. 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 As soon as the Tiger Roar Sect's ancestors' words finished, Immortal Emperor might suddenly ravage the land for thousands of miles. This was even stronger than the 2 Immortal Emperor artifacts in Li Qiye's hands. In an instant, 4 Immortal Emperor artifacts appeared in the 4 directions of the Tiger Roar Sect. In this instant, the terrifying and fierce Immortal Emperor might crush this domain, causing the entire eastern 100 cities to tremble. Immortal Emperor True Artifact. At this moment, someone felt an aura as if an Immortal Emperor had personally arrived, and they cried out in horror. At this moment, 3 Immortal Emperor artifacts and 1 Immortal Emperor True artifact suppressed the entire Tiger Roar Sect, sealing the 4 directions of heaven and earth. At this moment, let alone the people inside the Tiger Roar Sect, even everyone outside the Tiger Roar Sect was scared limp and collapsed onto the ground, unable to breathe. Is this the prelude to sinking the Tiger Roar sect? At this moment, countless old undyings from the great sects in the Eastern 100 City sense the aura of the Immortal Emperor true artifact, and their expressions drastically changed. Seeing these 3 Immortal Emperor artifacts and 1 Immortal Emperor true artifact, someone cried out in horror, "Today! The complete set of Immortal Emperor Fumo's Emperor artifacts are all present." Immortal Emperor Fumo of the dazzling light ancient kingdom once left behind a set of Emperor artifacts. His true artifact and his Fumo 4 symbols crest. Legend says this set of Emperor artifacts of Immortal Emperor Fumo could form an invincible Emperor array. Today, including the mysterious Earth Turtle Crest in Li Qiye's hands, the complete set of Immortal Emperor Fumo's Emperor artifacts had appeared in the Tiger Roar sect's ancestral territory. Excluding the 3 Immortal Emperor artifacts, even the Immortal Emperor true artifact had arrived. Seeing this scene, everyone gasped in cold air. Today was truly a war of Immortal Emperor artifacts. What a large scale! All the Emperor weapons of 1 Immortal Emperor are present. Only an ancient kingdom could afford such a scale. Seeing the 4 Emperor weapons suppressing the 4 directions of the Tiger Roar sect, countless people were stunned. This is the Tiger Roar sect, the wrathful Immortal Holy Kingdom, and the dazzling light ancient kingdom joining forces. This is not just the Tiger Roar sect acting alone. Perhaps this is a war initiated by the dazzling light ancient kingdom. A sect master figured out the mystery and immediately turned pale. In this battle, the Tiger Roar sect was merely the battlefield. The true orchestrator of this war was the dazzling light ancient kingdom. The dazzling light ancient kingdom has finally arrived. Li Qiye narrowed his eyes and instructed. Li Xuangan and the others, you all leave first. Let me deal with them. You want to leave now? It's too late. At this moment, a terrifying voice rang out. A faint figure appeared in the sky. The moment this figure appeared, the heavens and earth instantly became minuscule. Standing there, he seemed to be a god. He controlled the heavens and earth. Seeing that faint figure, countless people felt an impulse to kneel and worship. A primal fear, emanating from the deepest part of their hearts, overwhelmed countless people. The guardian divine beast of the dazzling light ancient kingdom. Li Qiye narrowed his eyes, staring at the blurry figure in the sky, and said, "The guardian divine beast of the dazzling light ancient kingdom." Hearing this title, someone shrieked. Even the old undyings hiding in the dark watching turned pale and muttered, "Is this an immortal existence?" The title Immortal Existence, Bushiotsuanzai, is not one that anyone can be given. Let alone an old undying like the Tiger Roar sect's ancestor, who was not qualified to be called an immortal existence. Even legendary powerful experts were not qualified to bear such a title. Some say only those who opened the divine conferred list could be called an immortal existence. Although this title has no set standard, everyone knows that anyone who can be called an immortal existence is not comparable to an ordinary great sage. The guardian divine beast of the dazzling light ancient kingdom is legendary for being sealed within the dazzling light ancient kingdom's imperial capital, buried deep within the dazzling light ancient kingdom's profound foundation, using immense time blood stones to resist the erosion of time. For 10 million years, no one dared to offend the dazzling light ancient kingdom. Even the most powerful great sage dared not cause trouble in the dazzling light ancient kingdom, let alone oppose them. Many people know that besides the dazzling light ancient kingdom's unfathomably deep foundation, their guardian divine beast is still alive, and even a great sage is no match for it. Today, the guardian divine beast of the dazzling light ancient kingdom personally arrived, shaking the hearts of everyone. Countless people who heard this name were scared out of their wits. This is a death trap. A wise man muttered, no matter how heaven-defying Li Qiye is, he ultimately cannot escape this fatal tribulation. Outside the Tiger Roar sect, countless people showed expressions of schadenfreude. Li Qiye was too heaven-defying, too monstrous. As long as he existed, he would forever be a mountain that the younger generation could hardly reach. To have this venerable's Dao body personally arrive for a junior, this truly overestimates you, junior. The faint figure in the sky looked down at Li Qiye and slowly said, but everything is worth it. This is a Dao body. Some people looked at each other, but they were still deeply moved. Even if this was only the Tao body of the dazzling light ancient kingdom's guardian divine beast, it could still suppress many great sages. Not to mention, it arrived with 4 immortal emperor artifacts. This was already invincible. Countless people took a deep breath. When the guardian divine beast of the dazzling light ancient kingdom appeared, everyone knew that this battle was about to end. Junior, today, even if the gods descend, they cannot save you, the Tiger Roar sect's ancestor said coldly. This battle was a heavy loss for their Tiger Roar sect, but for the Emperor art and the Immortal Physique art, it was all worth it. Stop making useless struggles. The faint figure stood high in the sky, looking down at Li Qiye, saying, you should obediently hand over the Emperor artifacts in your hands, hand over your Immortal Physique arts, hand over everything you possess. Then you might still be granted a quick death. An existence like the guardian divine beast of the dazzling light ancient kingdom would not emerge easily. Even the emergence of a Tao body was a heavy loss for an existence like him. This kind of immortal existence did not have much longevity left, merely surviving for future generations. Generally speaking, unless faced with a great catastrophe, they would absolutely not emerge. However, in order to seize the immortal emperor artifacts and the immortal physique arts in Li Qiye's hands, the guardian divine beast of the dazzling light ancient kingdom finally had its Tao body emerge. But for an existence like the guardian divine beast of the dazzling light ancient kingdom, even the emergence of a Tao body was worth it. Currently, there were 3 immortal physique arts present: Li Qiye's prison guard divine physique, Li Shuangyan's flawless physique, and the lion's roar holy emperor's wrathful immortal hegemon physique. If their dazzling light ancient kingdom obtained these 3 immortal physique arts, the potential was unimaginable. In the future, their dazzling light ancient kingdom might be able to catch up to a lineage like the Long River sect or even surpass the Long River sect. Thank you for listening to the story on KTN Storyverse. Please like and subscribe to support the channel.